Okay, go ahead.
Hi everybody. We are going to do a video today on winter living in a camper. It is probably one of the top subjects that we always get asked about when we tell people we live full-time in our camper, is how do you not freeze? How do you keep your lines from freezing? How do you just stay warm? And so we have did a whole lot of research, and this is our second winter, and we have came up with some ideas and some tips and some tricks that we wanted to kind of pass along that worked for us. We have a 2017 Winnebago Micro Mini FBS. It is 22 feet long and 7 feet wide, and it's 18 feet long, 7 feet wide living space. So we have about 126 feet of living space. So we needed to make the most of it and insulate it as best as we could. So we'll talk about the skirting and stuff like that on the camper here in a minute, but we wanted to show you, start with our water. We lucked out because we have a frost-free hydrant at our spot, so we're able to hook into our water full time, but we needed to insulate the hose. So we are in Kansas, February, and today the temperature is 15 degrees with about a 10-degree wind chill. So we have a lot of problems with pipes freezing and such like that. So what we've did is we've taken heat tape, and we started at the bottom and we wrapped heat tape all the way around the actual piping itself, all the way up around the handle, the head, up around the faucet itself. And we put a Y on here just in case a neighbor pulls in next door and wants to hook up to water also. So we have it to where we can actually open it up and they can hook in and wrap it back up. But if there's no one here, we just wrap the whole thing up. So we wrap the heat tape obviously around the hose, and the hose all the way back to the camper. And then we went back and took the foam piping insulation that you can get at any hardware store, and wrap the handle, the piping, the faucet head, everything, cut it in pieces, and basically just wrapped it up the same way with the hose, and then wrap the entire hose with black tape to kind of hold it in, hold the heat in, keep it in place. And we went with black because we were hoping that maybe the black would absorb the heat from the sun and help it stay warm. So as you can see, like I said, it's 15 degrees right now. As you can see, where the hose is, it has melted the snow all along there. So it is definitely working, and it's definitely keeping it warm for us. So the hose goes all the way along. Back side of our camper. And it goes back up and it hooks in. And we did the exact same thing on this side. We wrapped the connector up with the heat tape first, put the hose in, and then wrapped it up with the foam insulation to try to keep that connection as warm as possible also. We have had a few days this winter that were 5 degrees below zero and almost a 20 degrees below wind chill. And we haven't had any issues with our water. So we're very pleased how that turned out, and we think it works really well. So that's the water part. So then we'll go into the skirting itself. As you can see, we decided not to go with vinyl, just the sheeting type skirting. It didn't seem like it was going to work for us, and to us it just didn't seem like it would hold in the heat. It might block some wind, it might a little bit, I suppose, but it didn't seem like it was enough for what we wanted. So what we did is we made our own panels, and as you can see, each one is a panel that we've made for each specific spot of the camper. And what we did is we took 1x2 insulation, or 1x2 boards, and basically made a frame out of it. So we made the frame, their piece in the middle, and then we used 1/2-inch foam insulation board. We tacked it to the frame, and then over the top of that we used 6 mil black plastic, wrapped the entire thing in black plastic, went around the entire thing with with black tape to hold it in place. And then we even actually did it on the back side too with the tape to protect the camper from the boards rubbing up against it. We didn't want just raw wood rubbing up against the camper. So we did that all the way around, and then between each seam, we taped them together to kind of hold them together, help with the wind, and also insulation. So I don't have an extra piece to show you, but I do have this piece where this is our access panel for our sewer. So anytime we need to reach the black or gray levers to dump, we can just open this up. We can reach in and grab them, close it back up, and that's that. But here's a small piece of basically what I've explained. So here's the wooden frame. There's your foam board. It's wrapped in the plastic. The tape's holding it in place. And the foam board has Reflectix on one side. We've chose to put that toward the inside so it will kind of radiate the heat inside it. And if you can look inside there, we have a few...
I can see them through the hole.
Okay, we have a few heat lamps in there. Not sure if you can see them in there. And like I said, once you get done, and this right here, you can see the foam board. It's a 1/2 inch. They have bigger, smaller. We just decided to go with the 1/2 inch. And that is how we did our insulation. Or, I'm sorry, our skirting.
Talk about how we encase the slide.
Okay, so we did that. And then we did the same thing with the slide, because obviously that, on our particular camper, this is our couch. So you're literally sitting out in the open on the couch. So what we did is we did the same thing. We made board or pieces of the
4 panels.
skirting, 4 panels. One here, one there, one there, one there.
And then one for the roof.
And boxed them together. That's what this strap is. And it basically made a box to wrap our slide out. And then we were concerned about maybe snow and rain sitting on that top piece, so we made another piece on top there with the angle, so the snow, rain, and such slides right off the top, so we don't have snow sitting on top of our slide out. And as you can see, we did it all the way around. Do a little tape there. So the tape is on the corner all the way around. And it's virtually like that all the way around. So if you come over here, and I'll pull this back, see if maybe Valerie can get it. Look at the eye bolt there.
Okay.
There you go. So you see there's, I put an eye bolt in each piece, and then there's a cinder block. So the way that works is, the cinder block is right here at the bottom. So that keeps it from the much blowing the base of it inside.
Let's let them pass. It's going to be loud.
Sorry about that. We'll wait just a second. So it's a cinder block there. So if we didn't put that there, the edge of the camper is right here. If the wind blew, it might flip it over and slide underneath. So we put a cinder block there. That way it's got something to blow up against where it won't flip. And where that eye bolt is, it's right here in the middle on the slat going down. There's one on the opposite side the exact same way. So the way we have them hooked up is we have a bungee cord hooked to this one, run across underneath the camper to the other side, same way. So they're literally pulling on each other up against the camper, and that's what keeps them in place. And it works like that all the way across. We took our stairs and folded our stairs in because we just couldn't figure out a way to insulate around the stairs with them being out. So what we did is we folded the stairs in, insulated that, and then just made wood steps to get up into the camper. And that way it seals that area of the camper also. And like I said, when you come around each corner, we tried to seal up as best possible. And then this was the area that was the real pain in the butt to try to figure out. So Valerie came up with these ideas of what she did is she took gallon-sized freezer bags, like this one right here, and she filled it up with sand. Then wrapped it up in the plastic, then wrapped that plastic in the tape. When it's warm outside, that bag's pliable like a sandbag. So what she did is she'd wrap it around the frame or wrap it around the battery or wherever there's a goofy opening. she'd put that in there, and now when it starts getting colder, it's starting to firm up a little bit, and it blocks the air, and it helps hold the heat in. And she has did that all the way around the batteries, the hitch, the propane lines, all that stuff, and it helps block as much cold from going in and hold as much heat inside as possible. So that's basically how the skirting part works. And then we ordered 200-pound tanks from Heatco. I think they're a national company, but they basically brought out both tanks with a stand. They hook it all up for you, and you just run off one tank, and then when that tank empties, you flip your lever over to the other tank. You call up Heatco, they bring out a new tank, and you don't even know they came out. They just swap it out for you, and you're all set and ready to roll. So we actually ordered those the 15th of November, and just got another one switched out first part of February. So one tank, a 100-pound tank, lasted us 2.5 months. So we are super pleased, because last winter we were going through probably a 20-pound tank every 7 to 8 days. So we were going through them fairly quickly. So we're thinking our insulation parts really helping. So another thing we did is we ordered a awning cover. It is 4 pieces of rigid plastic that overlap each other. So you put one on, then you put the other one on, and it basically overlaps each other. I think it will actually expand out to like 18 feet or 20 feet. We have a smaller awning that's 13, and you just overlap however much you need. And as you can see, it'll keep the snow off, the rain off. It keeps it in place, because we get some really heavy winds in Kansas, and some pretty strong winds. And it holds it in place, and it's not tearing it up over the winter. And I'm not sure if you can see it, but clear up on the top there, we have an air conditioning cover. Basically just a vinyl insulated cover that goes across the top of your air conditioning unit. It helps keep the snow out of it, blowing things off of it, birds making nests in it, and giraffes from wind blowing inside there. And it basically just goes over it with a draw cord. You pull it tight, and it seals it all up, and it'll help preserve it for spring. And I think that's pretty much it on the outside. We'll show you some more on the inside here. I guess we better unlock it first. Okay, so come inside. Lights on for you. So if you come in, the first thing, if you'll step on through, I'll close the door real fast. Okay. The first thing you might see is Valerie came up with this great idea of this foam flooring. Turn some lights on a little bit there. So if you look, this right here is our actual floor, and then this is foam flooring that she found at Menards. It's just your lock flooring. See, it just locks together, and she has cut it and laid it down to where pretty much the whole living area is covered in this flooring, and it makes a huge difference. We kind of had something like this last winter, but it didn't work very well, and just the difference between your regular floor and this makes a huge difference when you're walking around barefooted or with just socks on, that type of thing. And it's really not that expensive, and it's a really good investment. Even if you just had it as a runner down the middle of your camper, it makes a big difference at night, you know, with that cold air seeping in. And this is just a small heater we used, a little ceramic electric heater. We just run it while we're here, generally when we're sitting on the couch or at night. We never leave it running when we're gone. And obviously we have such a small living area, it doesn't take much to heat it up, and so that works really well for us. I'll show you the thermostat before I got into the other part, but if you look right here, this is our kind of a control panel for, we have 4 different sensors spread out throughout the camper, inside and out, to kind of tell us temperature and humidity level. So if you look at number 1, it says it's 45.4 degrees and 40% humidity. That is under our camper right now. So it is, the outside temperature is 15 degrees with about a 10 degree wind chill right now. Under our camper is 45.5. So that's how warm it's staying underneath our camper with all that insulation and those heat lamps down there. And then we have other sensors underneath the cabinets by the water lines in various places throughout the camper to kind of keep us aware if like we're getting a weird cold draft through here, or if for some reason the lines are getting colder than they should be. That will alert us if we have a situation where we need to be concerned about water lines breaking or freezing. And then it also has our humidity level on here. Our very last one is right here is our temperature inside. That's just the inside temperature, and it's right at almost 63 degrees. We keep it that way on purpose. We like it cool. So I like it cool. So we keep it fairly cool, and then Valerie just snuggles up to the heater. And so like I said, with us keeping it cool like this, our thermostat down a little bit, and with the portable electric heater, you know, that tank lasted us 2.5 months. And then our inside humidity is 29%. Each one of these,
28.
We have alarms.
It just dropped.
Yeah. We have, each one of these have alarms. So we have alarms set that if the temperature gets too low on an area where a pipe is, it alerts us so we know, hey, we need to check that out. And then we have the same type of alarm for humidity, but we have it just more on the high side. So if we're getting a lot of humidity, it will alert us to be concerned and figure out why. It's at 28%, which is super low. Probably too low in most conditions. But anybody who's been a full-time RVer or any type of long-term winter camper will tell you your biggest enemy is condensation, moisture. So we want to keep it as absolutely low as possible, which is kind of one of the reasons why we keep our propane heater set a little bit lower and use our electric heater, because the propane puts out the moist heat as opposed to the electric, which is kind of a dry heat. The more condensation you get in here, the more chances you're going to have issues, which is going to be black mold, wallpaper peeling up, you know, just general rot. So you want to keep it as low as possible if you can. I'll move these flowers real fast. We have 2 separate dehumidifiers. We have a small one back there, and then we have another small one exactly like that in the bathroom, which so we have one on each side of the house. That way it kind of works on both ends, and it really seems to work. One other thing we have noticed is always try to open our shades before we leave for work every morning. We lucked out to where this spot, this side of the camper, faces the sun all day long. So when we open these blinds up and the sun's shining in, you really notice the fact that the heater doesn't kick on very much. It really does radiate the heat inside here when you open those curtains, because there will be days that we don't, or we forget to, and you can noticeably tell the difference of how cool it is in here with the sun and without, obviously. So that's another thing, to always try and make sure you open your blinds if possible. And one other thing we have did is we installed tank heaters on our black tank, gray tank, and freshwater tank. So far this year, we've only had to turn them on one time because the underneath got colder than freezing temp. But we do have it just in case, and we have our connectors here. And so say we wanted to turn our tanks on, we just turn them all on or turn them off. And like I said, that's for black, gray, or freshwater. And we've had some very cold days, and like I said, we've only had to turn them on one time. So that's a good backup for us, and especially if we decide to go camping somewhere where we don't have the skirting and the weather takes a nasty turn on us. And I think that's about it on the cold weather stuff that we did. We will have another, we actually have a video showing of how we made the panels, the construction of it, how they work, that type thing. We'll actually have that on our YouTube channel, so if that's something you want to look at, you can do that. We also have a video on how we installed the tank heaters, because they didn't actually come on this camper. So you have to actually drop the underbelly a little bit, get up underneath there and put the tank heaters on and run your wiring and stuff. It's a little bit of a project, but it's definitely doable and well worth the money. And so we will have that on our YouTube channel also. And
talk about why we didn't do plastic in the windows.
Yeah. And last year we actually put the plastic with bubble wrap in the windows. I wasn't convinced that it actually worked. I wasn't quite as impressed with it as Valerie was. So we decided this year we wouldn't put it on to see if there's a difference. And unfortunately, since this is being recorded, she was right. And
what was that?
Yeah, you can definitely feel
a draft.
A draft. I mean, it's not horrible like it's going to be blowing in here, but you can definitely feel that it's sucking some heat out of there. So we will be doing that again next year. We'll definitely put it up. Probably won't do it with the bubble wrap, but we'll definitely put the plastic up around. And we actually even did it to our door. So
we have a video of it on YouTube as well.
We have the video
from last year.
So what we did is we actually put Reflectix along here, and then we insulated the door with the plastic also. So the only thing that was really open was about that big of a spot, and then everything else was sealed with the Reflectix to kind of hold in as much heat as possible. And I guess one other thing we did too is we put Reflectix underneath our mattress here for to reflect the heat, to radiate the heat a little bit better.
And then we did the slats for condensation.
Valerie came up with these ideas of putting these slats on here. So what it basically is it slats like that, and your mattress is laying on top of it, and it allows the air to circulate underneath your mattress as it lays on top, so you have no condensation building up, or less amount of condensation you can do. So, and then all of our roof accesses have the pillows in it to block as much cool air as possible. And I think that's about it that we did so far with the cold weather stuff. Like I said, we'll have a lot more videos on our YouTube page, and we'll put some links in the comments below. And if you have any questions or want to make a comment, just put it down below. Thanks for watching. Bye.